X-Pac 12360. Featuring weekly news, insider commentary, and interviews with superstars, past and present from the world of pro wrestling.
A new day is dawning for DX.
And now, your host, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Welcome to X-Pac 12360, everyone. All right. Gonna have a good show today. Don't I say that every time? So, usually it turns out that way.
Yes, it does.
I mean, I'd like to think anyways. The feedback on the show seems to indicate that. So yeah, it's going to be a good one today. A little bit later on, we're going to be joined by Davey Boy Smith Jr. And I'm excited to talk to, well, I call him Harry. I've known him since he was a little kid, him and his sister Georgia. Anyways, he's not little anymore.
No, he's a massive man.
Yeah. And anyways, look forward to talking to him a little bit. I'm going to save it, you know. I mean, I will just say he's fresh off of winning the gold at the Billy Robinson Catch Wrestling Classic.
He's got a busy life right now. It's going to be a perfect time to talk to him.
Yeah. So, all right. Anyways, yeah, looking forward to that in a little bit. But I'm a little bit on the mellow side right now. I'm trying to be cool, calm, and collective. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. Just people calling my goddamn phone, like unknown number, like, you know, New York. No, if you're from New York and you call my phone and I ain't answering, like, quit calling my goddamn phone.
It's probably like scam or telemarketers.
Refer to my Twitter feed, and I left a pretty, you know, succinct message about how I feel about people calling my phone. Leave a message. If you don't leave a message, and you know, I'm going to assume it's not that important, or you know already that I don't want to talk to you, and you're trying to trick me into picking the phone up.
Have you been getting calls lately that actually say scam likely? I've been getting them.
I get those all the time.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Not or just like, you know, just some kind of a spam caller or you know, something like that.
Yeah,
and give those people credit though, because like literally you will block their numbers and then it'll be a different city, the same person, different city, same person. They got a bunch of numbers on there.
Yeah.
Don't answer.
I will say this, to people that do that for a living, that do the cold calling and all that, I gotta hand it to them, because they gotta be thick-skinned or I don't know how they're able to shield themselves from the negativity and the constant rejection that comes along with that job.
I did that for 4 months after high school, and it's an experience I'll never forget. Also, an experience I'd rather never do again.
Oh God! I mean, all other options must have been, you know.
Yeah, how did you get that job, Johnny?
It was weird. It was like the time in between high school and college, and I forget how I got the job, but I remember at one point I had to call Alabama about some political race, and boy, were people not happy with me talking to them about politics in Alabama.
And did you get paid? How did you get paid?
Just hourly.
Oh.
Yeah, and then,
well, at least then, I mean, at least it's not commission.
Worried about, yeah.
There was certain commissions. If at one point I was trying to sell insurance, which the fact that anyone was even interested in buying off me, I was flabbergasted by that. But yeah, I had to do that too. Yeah, it was a weird 4 months.
So, anyways, something I've been meaning to talk about at the beginning of the show for a couple of weeks now is X-Pac YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about it, and it's going to be the new home of the show. Still a part of AfterBuzz TV, and always going to be doing the show. Well, I hope always, as long as the studio's in here. We're going to be doing the show from here. I'm always going to be AfterBuzzer, and that, but. Just some really cool things will be happening on the YouTube channel.
So moving forward, the YouTube channel will show the show, like live stream the show every week. We'll also have clips from past shows, all our past interviews, and a lot of original content that we're working on as a team to create with Sean. So definitely look forward to that and subscribe.
You can
'cause it's gonna
actually
be great.
subscribe now, youtube.com/xpac. So make sure to get to that. That way you guys can know ahead of time. You can turn on your bell and you'll get all the notifications when we start streaming. But we're definitely going to start streaming after the 100th episode. So starting at 101, you will start seeing the streams on there.
So it's kind of in beta, but as listeners or watchers, subscribe now. That way when everything goes really active, the page is already going to be just blowing up. That's what we want.
And it's we have the YouTube/X-Pac, which
is great. Shout out to Steve Kaufman
Yeah.
for working so hard to get us that.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. And I know it might not seem like that big of a deal, but it's really hard to get what name you want to get on anything these days because on these, like, I call them bottom feeders. They go around just sucking up all the names that they think anyone might want to use. I mean, I'm not saying it's not smart, but it's still feeding off the bottom. Yeah. So keep on feeding.
That's right. Subscribe, youtube.com/xpac. Do it right now while you're listening. It's super easy.
And real quick, coming up on Wednesday, August 29th, we're going to be doing X-Pac 12360 live from the Bootleg Theater here in Los Angeles. And it's going to be obviously going to have some special guests that, can't really announce ahead of time.
We are going to have Brody King.
Are they? Is Brody going to show up?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So I'm happy to hear that. So, but yeah, there are definitely going to be some special guests that you have definitely heard of, and
I think it'll be great interaction with fans.
Yeah.
We'll do a Q&A.
Absolutely.
Might even test out the game show that you've been wanting to do there.
Yeah.
So it'll definitely be fun. Come check it out.
I have a game. I've had a game show in my head for since before I started X-Pac 12360.
Nice.
And it's great too.
Which will also be something on the YouTube channel down the line.
Yeah, I hope.
So yeah, definitely. Steve and I
it's just so many things to do, everyone.
Fire,
you know. And there's 24 hours in the day, and there are some people that have figured out how to, I don't know, maybe get like 25 or 26 hours out of a day. Well, I wish they would share the secret with me. But what else?
Well, Denise, how can people get tickets?
the show, you can actually go to Ticketfly.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you can go to Ticketfly. That's where they're selling the tickets at $20 general admission, $50. You also get a meet and greet and a ticket to meet Sean as well. So that's pretty awesome. But then there's more places where you guys can get all this information. Yeah. If you go to Facebook, you can literally just type in X-Pac, or you can go to the bootlegtheater.org and just go to the events tab and literally search it up. It's super easy. So you could go to bootlegtheater.org, Facebook page, Sean's social media. We're pretty much sharing it all around where you guys can get all the details and all the information, and we'll be sharing more as time goes on.
Thank you, Denise.
Got it.
Appreciate you doing that. So, what's in the news, everybody?
Well, there's a lot of fun stuff, and actually we're going to start off with I think this is a very unique and fun news, which is basically Kane, aka Glenn Jacobs, is now the mayor of Knoxville. Did I say that?
Knox County.
Knox County.
Yeah. Knox County, Tennessee. He starts as of September 1st. He basically won with a 66.39% vote to become the next mayor. He defeated Linda Haney, and like I said, he starts September 1st. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think that's super awesome. I mean, come on, Kane is a mayor.
It's very cool. And, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show before, but Knox County and Sevierville, which is like the main, Sevierville, Knoxville, that's all in that area. But Sevierville is named after my great-great-great-great-grandfather. John Sevier was the first governor of Tennessee, and he was also in anyways, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's a beautiful place. I don't know if you've ever been to that part of Tennessee, or even Tennessee at all.
Nashville, but that's it. Yeah.
It's way different.
Okay.
It's way nothing against Nashville, but Eastern Tennessee, Knoxville, like up in the Smoky Mountains, is beautiful, amazing, and people are great. And I try to stay away from politics, on the show and that, and things are so divided in the country these days. Well, I will just say this: we're always going to have, people on different sides or that, and that's just the way it's going to be. And you might not agree with, you might be on the other side of the fence from Glenn politically, but we want, if we're going to have people elected, because we're going to have people elected still from different parties. It's always going to be that way, and we want the best people we can get, you know, for either side.
And I was going to say, you know him
and
personally.
He's a wonderful guy.
Right. He seems like a very detail-oriented,
Yes.
good person.
Yeah, and I just I'm really happy for Glenn, and I knew this was going to happen. I knew, and you know, I say that a lot on here. I knew it. Oh, I knew it. I called that. I mean, it's kind of easy to call, to be honest with you.
You knew from the time he announced that this is
Oh,
what
yes.
he wanted to do that he was
Before
going to
he
get
even
it.
before he even won the primary, I was like, oh, he's going to win it.
Did you know he had political aspirations for a long time, or is this something that kind of surprised you?
No, because honestly, like back in, you know, we were busy making a lot of money and having a lot of fun, you know, at work and at, you know, like just, anyways, what I'm saying is the only people you really knew anything about their politics was like Val Venus in the locker room, or here and there a couple of people, you know, that would just always talk about it.
Okay.
I mean, we always kind of knew JBL's political leanings too, but it was never a big problem. Like there was never divided anything, and you know, it was, you know, people give each other shit over it. It's unfortunate that's the climate's, you know, so much different now. But anyways, all I was trying to get at was congratulations to my friend Glenn Jacobs and my former partner, who I consider my favorite partner I've ever had. So he's the new mayor of Knox County, Tennessee.
Yes,
Really
he is.
I think the cool thing that we can all agree on, though, is that he's using his platform to actually make some sort of change and, you know, do something, because so many people can shy away from politics and not want to have anything to do with it because you don't think it affects you.
That's right.
But, you know, he went out there and, you know, he obviously has a voice. He has an audience. He has people that support him. And he went out there and is making a change in what he believes is the right thing to do.
That's right.
Why was he your favorite partner?
Just because we made a lot of money together, number one, and also just the dynamic, the dynamic of our on-screen relationship, and just the whole, you know, Odd Couple. I'm a big Odd Couple pairing team fan. Like the bookend tag teams are fine, you know, but I also like that, you know. I like the team that fights with each other. They're always arguing and bickering, but then they kick serious ass in the ring. Things like that. It just makes you like, no, they're human, you know. And I just we did some really cool stuff, you know. So, anyways, yeah. What else?
Well, switching gears a little bit, you know, obviously on the sadder note, we spoke last week about Brian Christopher's passing. Jerry Lawler did, I guess you can say, pay tribute to his son, Brian Christopher, at a show in Jackson, Tennessee for USA Championship Wrestling, where he defeated James Ellsworth. But the part about this that was sweet was not only that he wore Brian's jacket, but they also used the proceeds from the bandanas to give away to, they gave the proceeds from the bandanas that they sold on that show to Hope Church, which I think is a nice way to make a difference and do something, you know, impactful. James Ellsworth did go on to say that this match was the most emotional match that he has ever wrestled, and he respects Jerry Lawler so much for coming out and doing this. And Jerry Lawler basically said that this was therapeutic for him because, granted, after, you know, his son passing, it's been a nightmare, which obviously I think we can all agree on.
I communicated with Jerry a little bit. This is the morning of Brian's funeral. Basically, he just said that exactly when he said this is just a nightmare, and he just thanked me for, you know, reaching out. And, you know, I just told him, I said, I love you, King, and I really loved Brian, and you know, I've read a couple of things, and you know, and I went off on a rant last week, and just out of anger, and I was in a pretty bad mood. And,
but what you said was impactful, and it was from the heart, and that's
but here's the thing about all this: like, some people are coming out like and questioning, why did he leave? Why did Jerry leave? Like Brian and there, why didn't he bail him out? Because I was in the same situation. You know, we just want to keep our loved ones alive, and it's not, and it shouldn't be. It should be a safe assumption that they'll at least protect him in jail, right? Like, they'll you know, at least we know where he's at. But I mean, you know, he was just trying to protect his son and get him help. You know, so like anyone that's questioning Jerry's an asshole. Honestly, you're a fucking asshole if you're going after Jerry right now or questioning him
you
publicly.
said when you were in that situation, Scott Hall said to leave you in there.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, and it's because they don't know what better else to do. Like it's like Scott or different people that love us. They're like, they just okay. We know where he's at. At least he's not outrun. You know. But the thing is they don't understand because they've never been in solitary confinement. And people can go, it's not solitary. Yes, it is. Absolutely, 100% it is. So. I don't want to get off onto that rant. Sure. I'm just saying, leave Jerry alone about this bullshit.
Yeah.
So.
Well said.
All right.
Well, I guess we're going to switch gears now into something a little bit more exciting. And it is that All In, as we all know, is becoming one of the most, I guess, talked about, most exciting events that we've had in a really long time. You know, so many fans are excited that, you know, having All In and StarCast. And more news and information is coming out. And now we know that All In will be broadcasted for the first hour on WGN, which I think is super cool. I think it opens up a lot of doors and people are excited. And after the first hour, they are going to be showing the rest of the show either on Fight TV or Ring of Honor's Honor Club. On Fight TV, the price is $39.99.
Or traditional pay-per-view, you could buy it that way.
There you go. There you go. And I don't know. I think this is super cool. This is exciting. The match is coming together. There's a lot of different fun stuff. They're including a lot of guys, which I think is really awesome of them.
Yeah. Who are they including?
Yeah.
You want to talk about any of that?
Yeah, definitely. So we just had Christopher Daniels is going to go against Stephen Amell, who you guys may know from Arrow. And then Okada versus Marty Scurll. We're going to have Aldis versus Cody's. We're going to have, did I say Cody's? Versus Cody Rhodes. And then we're going to have the Bucks and versus Ibushi and Rey Mysterio versus Phoenix and Bandito. We're going to have the Briscoes and Kazarian. The Briscoes versus Kazarian and Sky on the pre-show, which is going to be the part that's aired on WGN.
Right.
And they're also going to have, which is this is pretty funny, I think. They're going to have a 15-participant over-the-budget battle royal, which is pretty fun because, you know, they're doing it to, you know, include more guys onto the show and stuff. And I like that they actually went ahead and named it the over-the-budget battle royal.
I like that. I like that. And that's, you know, instead of just shoehorning more matches just to fit more people in the show, like, that's how you do it. Mm-hmm. You either have, like, some big 10-man, like, cluster fuck or a battle royal situation. Mm-hmm. You know, that way, like, you can include more people and give them, and, you know, people that have shown loyalty or shown, you know, busted their ass, and, you know, you reward people.
And there's great people in the battle royal. Right now, we have Rocky Romero, we have Colt Cabana, Ethan Page, Moose. I mean, so it's, it's going to be fun.
All right.
I think it's going to be a treat for all fans. Like, I'm super jealous that I'm not going to be there because I think it's super cool that everyone's going to be able to do all these different types of things, from listening to podcasts to meeting your favorite wrestlers, and then to be able to watch a show that everybody's going to be wondering how it's going to turn out.
Well, at least you can watch it on pay-per-view.
Yeah, definitely.
In StarCast.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll be doing X-Pac 1, 2, 3, 60. What? No, 1, 2, 3, 60 degrees of the NWO. That's what Conrad. That's Conrad. Yeah, Conrad.
All right.
Good name. I like that.
So is it you, Nash, and Hall?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd like to think we can get Eric up there on the hot seat, but you know, we're spread out a lot, you know, and our time is spread thin. That, you know, for that. You know what's interesting is, like, you know, it's so new generation. Lula's snoring like a bear down there, isn't she?
Yes, she sure is.
It's so. Hey, Lou, put a cork in it.
She's good. She's awake.
What was I saying?
It's kind of new, the StarCast weekend.
Oh yeah, it's okay. The All-In card, it's very new generation, new school. Like, I don't like to use the term new school because I don't believe, like, I believe in, you know, they say old school, new school. I'm more of like right school, wrong school, but that's just me. But like the older, you know, nostalgia stuff for the StarCast, it seems to be like the, you know, what's the big selling point for that. And then you have All In, which is all like the new, you know, the Young Bucks. And not just the Young Bucks, but the, you know, the Young Bucks.
Starcast looks incredible. Conrad's putting together an amazing event. It's gonna be,
Do you know that he has the backdrop from the set from World Championship Wrestling from Techwood Drive Studios in Atlanta?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I either the actual set or like an exact replica of it. I think they have the Jim Crockett Promotions blazers, like people can wear. I hope I'm not saying anything I shouldn't be.
It's just going to get people more excited.
That's one of the options. There's that one. There's the ECW one.
Yeah.
So there's a Crockett, a WCW, and an ECW one, I think. One's got Sean Mooney, one's got Tony Schiavone, and one, I think, has Joel Gertner.
Is it sold out yet? I think it's close.
If it's not, it's going to be.
Yeah.
So get your tickets while you can.
Yeah. So.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I was given, like, you know, I was given, like, promotion shit about, like, putting guys in the ring with me that shouldn't be in there. And I meant everything I said, but I kind of said it in kind of a mean way because I was a little just in a shitty mood, like, because, you know, people you love die and just other things happen, and sometimes you come in a shitty mood and it comes out, you know. So, yeah. I meant everything I said. I wish I would have said it a little nicer.
Fair enough.
Take it as it is. So are we going to go to a break?
Is anything else you guys want to talk about?
That covers pretty much everything. We should probably get to Davey Boy Jr.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with Davey Boy Smith Jr. Welcome back to X-Pac 12360, everyone. Joining us right now over the phone from beautiful Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Third generation wrestler. His name is Davey Boy Smith Jr. Make some noise.
Yeah.
And I said his name is Harry. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm acting like it's my first time talking to you or something. Like I've known you since you were a kid.
Oh man, that's great. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Harry. First thing I want to do is congratulate you on winning the gold at the Billy Robinson. Was it called the Billy Robinson Classic? What do they call that?
Yeah, it's the first one that they've done under, you know, in honor of him, but it was called the Billy Robinson Classic. So they may be hoping to do it every year, you know, in honor of him. So that would be really great to honor him.
Yeah,
you would probably know as well that Billy was a tremendous pre-wrestler, shooter, and he taught a lot of great grapplers and stuff like that as well. So
I was
awesome
just
to be a part of that.
I was just watching some old Florida stuff, and Billy made his round, like, you know, he made his way around the country and into the territories. Like he worked Memphis, he was in Florida, and I mean he was a Southern champion in Florida. But man, what a great backbreaker he had too. That I love that.
Oh man, I love that. And he was, of course, I think he was, if he wasn't the inventor of the double arm suplex, for the first guy to do it in pro wrestling, he certainly did it tremendously well. And he showed me actually a lot of tricks to doing the double arm suplex. Like you can do that in a shoot.
Yeah.
And not necessarily suplex the guy over. You can, but you can roll the guy and then get a nasty little neck crank out of it, which I've done quite a few times in training and stuff. But there's a secret to it with the grip that you know I could show. It's easier to show in person than talk about it over the phone. But,
you know
once
who
you get it
remind
locked
me of
in,
right
it's
now?
really hard to break that.
You know who you remind me of right now? Listening to you talk, your grandfather.
That's awesome.
Because you sound like, oh, you're so into it. Tell me about it.
Yeah. It's funny. A few people have told me that, and then they actually said that I reminded them of Brett a bit too.
Oh yeah.
Probably the accent. So.
Yeah. And since we're talking about Billy and catch wrestling right off the bat, you spent a little bit of time with Karl Gotch as well? I
didn't. You know, I wish I could have. when I first went to FCW,
Yeah.
I was talking to Osama Nishimura, who was close to him.
Yeah.
And we were trying to set up for a meeting for me to meet Karl. And then it was kind of hit, and then me, TJ, and Natty, me, Teddy at the time, and Natty, we got called to go to OVW to Louisville for a few weeks to do some TV stuff. So I was like, oh man, I'll do it when I get back. And then when I left, I think it was the third week I was there, I got the news that he had passed away. So it was, real shame. I would have loved to have met him, but at his old age, I don't know what kind of how the meeting would have went. I wish I could have gotten to meet him. Being a legend like that, and pick his brain a bit, because that was when I started getting interested with everything. But I heard he was a pretty salty bastard too.
Yeah, yeah. Once again, sounds just like your grandfather. Yes, yeah. I think he would.
Did you get to train with him, Sean?
I trained. Okay, Karl used to come to the school, but I never actually was in the ring with Karl. I trained my teacher was his son-in-law, Masami Soranaka.
Yeah, Sammy Soranaka.
Yeah, and he was a wonderful teacher as well. Obviously, it's not the same as being taught by Karl Gotch, but I mean, just amazing the contributions of Karl and Billy, to MMA in general and wrestling, period. So.
Yeah, man, he was real fanatic about conditioning, and I mean, what an athlete he was. He was one of the guys I wish I could have met. And I know he probably wouldn't have been very nice, or he would have. That was what I've been told what he was like with most people, but at least going into it, that's what you're going to get. You get what you're going to get with Karl. He's not going to lie to you.
Yes, he might. I think he might have liked you. If he wasn't really interested in meeting pro wrestlers like as most people think of pro wrestling, but like I think he would have liked you. I think he would have liked you, and the reason I bring Karl up is because it was Karl Gotch Day, like the other day, and there was all kinds of stuff about Karl, and there was pictures of Karl and Josh Barnett, and I know like you and Josh are fairly tight, huh? Yeah,
bringing up Karl, because it was his birthday, August 3rd. That's funny. My birthday was August 2nd. It's almost the same day as Karl. So
happy belated birthday.
Lucky. Thank you very much. Thank you. But Josh, he got a chance to work out with Karl, I think a little bit, but he had already gotten the hip replacement done, so he wasn't as mobile. But man, he said he was still just like physically like strong even at his old age, and you could just look at his wrist bones and his joints. Like he was just like a big, strong. And incredibly shaped, but a big tough man, He had a rope on like a rope that hanging from a tree that was pretty high up in the air, And even when I started wrestling, he was already pretty old, and he could climb that upside down. John. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Harry, before we stray too
Sean,
far
did you train with Joe and Dean at all?
Yeah. Yes.
Their father, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I heard that Boris was a great coach too.
He was the best, and like I've never, because I've been to other people's camps, and there's some amazing teachers out there, Harry. But the great Malenko, honestly, to this day I've never seen anybody that was as good at teaching and getting what he wanted across to his students, communicating to them, and the patience he had with them. That's what
I heard from a number of people was that he was a great wrestler, but he was a great teacher as well. Because sometimes great wrestlers aren't exactly the best teachers. Like they can't. They're not good at explaining it. They don't have the patience for it.
Yeah,
they can't. Everybody's different, right? So a teacher knows how to explain things and goes like step by step with guys, and whether we got to speed things up or we got to slow things down or focus more on certain things, that the person's weak on or lacking. So
yeah. Hey, Josh got hurt before. Not to bring it back to the Billy Robinson Classic, but Josh was going to be in it, right? And then he got hurt. Yeah,
he was supposed to be, because they were doing one. Scientific Wrestling was doing a separate one at nighttime.
Yeah.
And then Josh was, hurt his hamstring or something. Because when I went out there, he was complaining about it. So he was just mostly instructing, and then I think he tried to do some just some drilling with us, and he couldn't. He was like, "Nah, you know what? This isn't happening now." So and then leading up to it, training with this big guy named Osuna. He's a big sumo wrestler from Egypt, and then he went to Japan. But I was training with him, and I strained my groin, but I wanted to keep training and then compete. But since the competition, I've kind of taken a few weeks off to relax it. I don't know if you've ever had a groin injury, but it sucks, man. It is. Oh man, it's annoying. But it's one of those things that gets slowly better. It's not like anything will help it, just icing it and staying off it.
That's what I was going to say. Those the groin injury is the most nagging, longest lasting injury just about you can have. I remember Taker had it, and it was like a year and a half later he was still nursing it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I remember when he had that. And I was talking to Booker T, because we were both in Iowa he just got inducted to the Hall of Fame up there, which was really awesome. And then I inducted Owen, but he said he had a nasty one for 6 months, and he had to wear those compression shorts just to get through matches with it. But man, it sucks.
As a physical therapist, I can tell you the groin and the hamstring, both very easy to re-injure. Once you do it, you have to treat it so well to rehab it. Yeah.
But that was great, inducting Owen to the Hall of Fame up there.
That's what I was going to ask.
Waterloo, Iowa.
That's what I was going to tell you, because I saw some people that came up. I was on a show in Minnesota the next day, and several people, Stan Hansen and Baron von Ratschke and some other guys, Larry the Axe Hennig, they were all in Minnesota the next day. Wow. And so I saw them, and I got to see the pictures of you. Was it you, Ross, Bruce? Who was all up there inducting him?
It was Ross, Bruce, my mom, and then Keith.
Keith, that's right.
I remember. Yeah, so it was great, man. Getting to honor Owen's career, not only as a great professional wrestler, but he had an extensive amateur background before he got into pro wrestling as well. So they recognize that, and they do a lot of honoring and recognizing that at the Hall of Fame too. So it was a lot of fun. It was a fun experience. I don't get to see the family that much because the Hart House is been sold, and Keith lives in Montana. So, and I'm always traveling, and but it was awesome, man. I wish there could be Owen could get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, but that's unfortunately doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Yeah. Do you think that just is never going to happen?
Well, I don't think so. But the only way that I could see it happen is like Martha, her deal is that she doesn't want to do anything. She doesn't want WWE to be making a profit off it. You know what I'm saying? So I think, and I can't speak for Martha because I don't speak to her, but if she said, if WWE were to say, okay, we're going to induct Owen Hart in the Hall of Fame, whatever earnings we make or whatever profit we make, because they give the guys something, they give them the Hall of Fame ring. Like if they were to induct that or, donate that to the Owen Hart Foundation instead of, to whoever, I think she might be more willing to do something like that. But even then, I don't think she's going to let that happen. But if it were a nonprofit thing or something where it would be, because she's raised a lot of money with the Owen Hart Foundation. So if it was something like that, I could see maybe. But they're doing some good things. I've read. It's the money is actually used for good things, right? Yeah, exactly. It's it's going for a good cause, and I'm glad that she's doing something that's positive with Owen's name. So that's great.
I see, I read, and I read the stuff that Brett had mentioned, and then, Martha's rebuttal, and it kind of it made me sad just because, you hate to see that, that kind of friction or whatever. So it was sad. I read Martha's rebuttal, and I got to be honest, I understood where she was coming from her point of view too. You know?
Yeah, you know, it's a tough situation, like, because I don't really want to take either one person's side with
Sure.
it, but I understand where she's coming from, that she doesn't want, like, and if she feels that way because she was Owen's wife, then
Right.
that's fair. I can't really argue that. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that it would be great for him to be inducted, because, I mean, it would be great for the number one, it'd be great for the fans, because, you know, he entertained them and put smiles on their faces for so many years. But I don't think that it has anything to do with that. She just doesn't. She doesn't want anything to do with WWE, and she doesn't want them making a profit off it. So it's like, you know, and I understand where she's coming from. So it's tough, man. And I didn't like to see them arguing publicly about that, but I just kind of stayed out of that.
Sure.
Well, speaking of the Hall of Fame, who would you want to induct the British Bulldogs in the Hall of Fame?
I would say, I guess it would be myself. I don't know why they didn't induct him or Dynamite earlier, or if they're, you know, I mean, I guess we have all of our lives to do it, but I would certainly, it could be argued very easily that they would belong in there than a lot of other people that have been inducted in too, right? So
yeah,
I'm not sure what the holdup is, or what the, you know.
Here's the thing.
I wish I could tell you the answer. I don't know.
Harry,
you know?
Here's the thing about that. This is my feelings. Whether anyone likes them or not, I'm going to tell them. Like, we do have all our lives for that, Harry. But the problem with that is we don't know how long our lives are going to be. Right. You know?
Yeah.
Like, okay, Big Van Vader, Leon White should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You know, and now he's gone. And I'm not going to go on a rant here listing all the other names, but we could think of several, right? Like, you know, China, different people like that. So yeah, no, like, sometimes we don't have a lot of time. You know, that's all I'm saying there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and you know, another person that I think that should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, even though his career in WWE was short-lived, but for the amount of impact he had on the wrestling business overall, was Steve Williams. You know, and when he had cancer and everything, I don't know why they didn't put him in there before he passed, when he was still in good shape. But you know, or why he's not in there now. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. But
hey, Harry. Hey, I want to ask you about, going back to when you were a kid, because I used to see you.
Sure.
I used to see you, your sister, Teddy, like all the time, like whenever we were up in the area, you know, or in even as you got a little older, like in the Attitude Era and stuff, you know. You guys were trained. You guys were already training in wrestling even back then when you were little kids, right?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, geez, we were me, TJ, and Ted. We were all training in wrestling. They were doing it a little bit more than me, just because I was in school like full time, right? And then they were too, but they graduated because they're about 6 years older than me, 5, 6 years. And man, I mean, I got to tell you, a lot of the training and stuff like that we did in the dungeon was so much, although it was hard, but you know, growing up with your family and training and learning and growing, this was a really, really awesome experience for me. And I wish that, like, now going back at myself, I'm kicking myself, but I wish that we would have just filmed more stuff, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, like some of our practices, or even some of these like little, you know, spot shows that Bruce would have in front of, could have even been in front of 50 people, but you know, TJ and Ted, they'd go out there and wrestle for 20, 25 minutes, and they would go at a hard, fast-paced match. But it's too bad because nobody got to see that, you know.
Sure.
But like with the way that DVDs are being released on older footage and, you know, different bonus footages and stuff like that, probably the same would be like the old Stampede stuff. Like, I wish that Ross and Bruce would have filmed like a lot of the out-of-town stuff. I heard, you know, Owen and Hirohashi, like, they would work like 60 minutes, and they'd be going at like a hard, fast pace. none of those guys were ever phoning it in then.
Even on the spot shows?
Yeah, no, I heard that they, if it was a really light crowd, but I heard that they were going hard, and they always wanted to, wrestle hard, so they would, have fans come in, and a lot of the times they would clip a lot of the stuff, which was kind of not good, but they would clip stuff for TV because they wanted the live audience to come and see it every week,
right?
Because they would gimmick it and say that, the match was so brutal or it had too much violence, we couldn't show it on TV, but they're going to have a rematch next week. And they'd show the last 30 seconds or minute. You could see the crowd going nuts, and they're right at the climax of the match. And then, but I wish that they would have filmed more stuff, kept it. But that's.
Hey, weren't you? Did I? I want to say I saw of some footage of, was it you versus TJ on maybe the intermission of a Stampede show, when you guys were kids putting on a match?
Yeah, that could have been. We were when Ross and Bruce, they got TV in 99, 2000.
Yeah.
And then so we were. Oh geez, I was still in junior high school then, but we worked quite a bit, and then Ted was working some of those shows. So some of those are on they're on DVD and stuff like that. I guess WWE bought the rights to those matches, to all the Stampede stuff. Which, but it would be nice if they got to showcase some of that someday too, because you can't really find it on YouTube now. Yeah. They take all that stuff off, So.
And all the old Stampede stuff, your brother, or not your brother, your Uncle Owen, he gave me this box set thing of all these DVDs of it was, I don't know, it might have been damn near everything from Stampede, I don't know, but do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's great stuff. One match that I saw that Owen, he had a handheld of it somehow. But do you remember when Benoit came to WWF in about 94, 95, and he had some tryouts?
Yeah.
But Owen had the singles match that he had with Benoit from that. I think he even had food poisoning or something like that. He was sick. But I remember watching it and at Owen's house, and it was a really, really awesome match. Not to sound bad, but I almost kind of wish I would have stolen it just to see it now. You know what I mean? But Martha, I would imagine she'd still have it, but she's probably not going to give it up. And then another guy that I'm friends with, he says that he says he has a handheld match with Dynamite and Benoit singles that no one's ever seen before.
Wow.
That they did. Yeah, but I'm trying to get my hands on it. But
you just reminded me of something. You just reminded me of something. One time. In 94ish or something like that, or 95. Anyways, Sabu came in. They brought Sabu in for tryout. They wanted to hire him, and they had to work with Owen in dark matches, 2 nights in a row. And they wanted to hire Sabu. Sabu had no intentions of ever coming in to work there. He just wanted the 2 payoffs. So he came in and he worked the shows and was gone. Yeah, but him and Owen had excellent matches, though, on these shows that no one's ever seen before.
I remember that because Davey was talking about it. And then we had just gotten one of those satellites.
Yeah.
So ECW was just airing. And then he was talking about this guy named Sabu, and he said a really good worker and was doing all these flips, and he was saying, you and Ted would really like him. And I started watching him first on ECW, and then he would do he was doing weird promos where he was moonsaulting through a table with nobody on it, and then pretending that he was going nuts or something like that. And I was going, man, this guy's I'd never seen anybody jump off the chair before and then land on the top rope like that. And then he was doing all kinds of stuff, but
I just thought
I remember Davey talking about that.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that I bet you no one knows that Owen and Sabu had matches.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. On this, and so Sabu coming, and since I knew him from having match with him and stuff, he rode with Kurt Hennig and I slammed his hand in the car door, and he barely sold it. He was just ouch, that hurt.
Oh, Jesus, man. Oh, man.
Anyways.
Well, growing up in the family that you grew up in, obviously you're a student of the game. That's an understatement. As far as being in the ring, what's maybe one or two things that you've taken by watching your dad's matches and implementing it in your career?
Yeah, for sure. You know, probably what he was telling me, like, I mean, I could say, oh, you know, you do power moves and stuff like that, but I remember he would always talk about, because we like me and TJ, we would plan a lot of stuff and we choreograph a lot of stuff growing up for our matches. And he kind of told us, he said, that's, you know, you guys are doing a lot of stuff that's great, but he goes, you guys need to learn how to work out there without having to choreograph everything. And that's kind of the problem that a lot of guys have here now, but it's not that, oh, you know, oh, people just say that, but when you're working night in, night out with different crowds and stuff like that, you might have to have a different style match for a different kind of crowd. Like there could be a bunch of little kids in the audience that they don't really understand what a bunch of high spots are. But if you give them two of those and just interact with them more and tell more of a basic story of a match, it'll probably get over more with them than, you know, trying to have a WrestleMania main event where it's just almost too confusing for them. You know what I'm saying? So he said that, and just being able to read the audience and timing when, okay, well, it's not quite time to go home yet. Okay, let's go home now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was probably the most important thing. And I kind of understood where he was coming from, but now I definitely understand it years later.
Hey, so, and people might think that, okay, like, you know, like father, like son, you're going to work the same style, but your body types are different. You're a lot taller than your dad was, and like some things just don't work the same out there. Yeah,
you know, I like to do the vertical suplex still because I'm naturally good at that. Like I can hold guys up. But stuff like, I mean, he was really strong with overhead pressing, like for press slams. Like stuff like that, I can't do. And he was really good with. You remember when he do that front head spring?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like I don't see. Yeah, man, I don't see you doing that.
I kind of got to it. Man, him and Dynamite both were so fast with that.
Yeah.
Where you could try to do it, but it almost would look like a cheap imitation if I was trying to do it. But there's a lot of bridging and stuff like that I do. That Davey probably he just didn't have the flexibility for.
Right.
But we're it's very similar, but we're different in that sort of category, you know.
Yeah.
Frame wise, yeah. So.
Hey, how old were you when you actually started sprouting up? Because like just all of a sudden, like I just saw you, you know, like it must have been like a year later, and you were like a foot, and I didn't even almost realize it was you, Harry.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was about, I think I was like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
And I hit like a big growth spurt. It was, right around that time. So what happened was I broke my arm amateur wrestling, my humerus. And I took some time off, but a lot I was, like during that time when I was sprouting up because I wasn't actively wrestling. So I was sleeping a lot. Like I was resting a lot and sleeping. And I don't know if that had anything to do with it because a lot of the times when you're growing, the most important years of your life, that's when you're supposed to be was sleeping a lot. So I remember I was sleeping quite a bit, and then Davey came home from the road one time. He goes, "Jesus, did this grow like two inches in height?" I said, "Oh, I don't know." He goes, "Geez, you know, it's just kind of funny because I sprouted. I must have sprouted. Oh, geez, 6-10 inches or something like that in like a span of a year, and it was a big growth spurt too, you know."
Did it hurt?
A little bit.
Did it hurt?
Yeah. You know what? I think it did a little bit. It wasn't too unbearable, but I just noticed when I got back into the ring after just doing stuff like hitting the ropes and stuff was a little different because I grew, like my feet grew and like the timing and stuff like that. But I caught back on when but I remember it was right around the time when I broke my arm and I was sleeping a lot. So.
Well, Harry, you and Lance Archer have been a mainstay team in Japan for the last 6 years or so. I want to know, how did that get started, and what is the difference between working with him and then maybe working, you know, with a relative like Tyson or Teddy?
Yeah, so that was New Japan's idea. I'm not sure if it was Gato or one of the other bookers there that was their idea, because they were looking for like a Hansen and Brody type image for a tag team with two big gaijins.
Yeah.
So it's worked out pretty well. I mean, we're both big, but we both wrestle different styles, and Lance is a good brawler, and he tries pretty hard in there. I think that we're good because a lot of the Japanese audiences, they like that. We have to be careful now with, beating them up or doing too much stuff.
Oh, in the crowd.
To them, like Lance, he likes to spit water at him, which is all right. But the Japanese things are different now. But they like to be scared.
Yes.
Like when Lance goes up to a little kid and screams as loud as he can, and the kid starts crying. They don't like it, but they do like it. You know what I'm saying? Like years ago when Hansen and Brody and those guys, they'd go through the crowd and beat up the crowd. Hit them with the bull rope.
The chain and the bull rope. And,
yeah, and then they'd be happy after. Like I think it was Asai, Ultimo Dragon, who said that the day he decided he wanted to become a pro wrestler was when Tiger Jeet Singh punched him in the mouth when he was a fan. He just thought it was the coolest thing. But we can't do that nowadays. But
I thought it was pretty cool when Stan Hansen hit me with the cowbell on accident, like coming through the crowd and for Battle of the Belts. It was supposed to be Hansen and Brody versus the Road Warriors, but Brody wasn't having any of it. He wasn't going to have the match, so they had Harley Race come take Brody's place, and so anyways, I got hit with the cowbell, and I thought it was just the greatest damn thing ever.
Oh, that's awesome.
But no, hey,
that's amazing.
Yeah, but I really enjoy you guys, and you guys you keep it serious. But the thing that I really liked was when you guys had the match here in the States, in Long Beach, and you worked with Yano and the other guy, and just the way you worked, the way you did that, I was really impressed because on paper, I didn't think that match was going to turn out, to be honest with you. But I really liked how you guys did that. Yeah,
thank you. I think the thing is working like a big guy, like big guy styles, is that you want to do it and not like less is more, but like if you slam a guy or hit him with a big belly to belly suplex or something, but you really need, and it's important too for working, like if it's my kind of style or since we're bigger, is that we really need the baby face to sell.
Yeah.
And like that's what then I know that people want to do a bunch of high spots, but one thing that we had like that, I don't know if you saw the Tokyo Dome match from last year, but it was me and Lance versus Sonata and Evil. And the style that we did the match, we almost had like 70% of there was no shine or anything for them at the beginning. And then we let them have the last 30% and got into some fun. But it was good because people were watching and they're like, man, these guys are getting they're getting the hell beaten out of them.
Yeah.
But like that's to me, and what when I think it was Chuck E. T that we were in there with, we wanted him to be on the big sell, and then Yano, he does his goofy comedy stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really care for it, but that's
I know,
but
I know you guys don't, Harry. I know you guys don't care for it, but I was impressed on how you actually interacted with him on that.
Yeah, exactly, and the way how we did it is like Yano on the back end of stuff where he does his comedy stuff, but he does like he gets his comeback out of it. But we wanted the other guy to sell, and I think that's why it worked. Because like if he's doing all this goofy comedy stuff with us at the beginning, and then we're doing the what is it, the clowns from the with fitting into the car and running into each other. But it worked out good, and the fans like it, so it worked out good,
Yeah. You could definitely like go into that with the bad attitude and just be like, this sucks. I got to do. But I was really impressed with that. Okay, I won't talk anymore about that. I just was really impressed with it.
Thank you very much. It was fun too. I liked the match.
So why do you think that New Japan has been able to thrive in Japan versus Noah and All Japan that have been somewhat struggling? What do you think that is?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh yeah.
I mean, part of it is New Japan's always been the number one company over there for years. And like back in the 80s, I think at one point when the Funks were in All Japan and stuff and those kind of guys, I think that All Japan was number one. So it's always like they're always gonna be number one. They're always gonna bounce back and be number one. Like I know WWE and WCW when they had their big feud, and then they were losing for quite a while. Then they bounced back up. So they always have that ability to bounce back up because it's always been the number one company in the world or in Japan. And it's like the same thing with WWE, even though they go through ups and downs. I think that, it's just that I think that the booking has been or was better leading up to, because they went through a really, really bad time. They were done like dinner, and then they got saved. I think that they've just, one thing that they've been able to do is that they've been able to expand internationally. And I don't know if Noah or All Japan, if they would even have the money to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So nowadays, they're doing stuff all the time with Ring of Honor. You see it so many people with Bullet Club shirts. So they've been able to, and in a good way without losing money, be able to expand internationally and see, because now a lot more people are seeing stuff that me and Lance and I are doing in Japan. So I think that it's that, and then they were having some hard hitting, really awesome matches. And I'm not saying that Noah and All Japan aren't, but I don't know if you've seen the matches with Ishii and Shibata from a few years back. But man, those were amazing. That's what people really like to see. And God bless Shibata. Unfortunately, his career is basically over from working those style matches. But I think that it's the strong style, and it's just they've been able to roll with momentum, and they've been smart with things, and they know how to market themselves internationally. I think that's the main thing. Mm-hmm. I think they'll always be number one, probably, through the ups and downs.
And how's the relationship with Noah and New Japan right now? Because I know they were kind of at least loosely affiliated,
Yeah, that was it was good because Noah was getting help from New Japan.
Yeah.
Their relationship now is non-existent. So what had happened was, or as far as I know, New Japan they agreed to help Noah out financially.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they had purchased some stocks or purchased some things for rights for the company, but they didn't buy the company.
Right.
So they were helping them out, and just Noah, they just didn't really know how to advertise anything. You know what I'm saying? They didn't. And part of the problem is they don't have TV still. Mm. When we were talking about why New Japan's still number one, we were out there, and I was seeing Minoru Suzuki and all those guys having crazy matches with Sugiura for 30 minutes, and they're both bleeding and sweating and beating the hell out of each other. But there was nobody to see it. There's no TV there. So how can you really start getting over again if you don't have a solid TV every single week? So what happened was there was a guy named Uchida who was the president of All Japan, and he had I guess with Marufuji and some of the other people that own Noah, they had secretly brought not snuck him back, but they brought him in as the new president without telling New Japan.
Yeah.
And then there was some big announcement made. And I guess New Japan really doesn't like this guy. I don't know the history. Maybe I don't want to. I'm not sure. But as soon as that happened, we were supposed to be doing stuff for the following year. And we were right in the middle of a December tour. And they agreed that we were done with Noah. And then everyone was going to be, the titles were going to stay there. And that was it. During the tour, it wasn't even and we were supposed to go over for one more show before the end of the year. This was December.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to have one more show December 23rd, and that got totally canceled, everything.
So did they pull Jado? Did they pull Jado out, Akiyoshi out as the booker over there then? Is he gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's back with New Japan, but they literally just shut the lights off and they just cut everything off on that. So I wish Noah all the best. I really like a lot of those guys are great guys. and I hope that they do well. But
And do you think
you know,
that
it's tough.
do you think that they've announced that they're going to have some kind of relationship with WWE? Do you think that's going to move the needle for them at all?
Man, I wish it would, but I don't know. Yeah, I in theory I would think it would.
Yeah.
Like because Kenta, he was one of their main stars. He's in WWE now. I believe it will help, but man, I don't know. They have to be consistent with it.
Yeah.
And and if they still don't have a TV company or they still don't have a TV show every week, you know, how can people really catch up with it and stay with it? You know. And Noah, like for the typical fan, their tickets were going for like they're more expensive than New Japan's. Like they're still trying to sell tickets for like 9,000 yen, which is close to $100. And a typical wrestling fan, sometimes they're not going to pay that kind of money, you know. So,
hey, I want to talk to you like about, you know, back when you guys were younger and kids and. You know, there was that friction between the Clique and, like, you know, Bret and all that, and then the Montreal screw job thing happened. Like, how was that for you and, like, and your sister and you know, like, Teddy and TJ and that? Because, you know, you guys always, like, I remember you liked Sean, like, you know, some of the Hart kids liked Sean and Scott and myself and
yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, that's funny. You're bringing back a lot of memories on that. But, man, it was, you know, it was as much as, like, because I loved, like, growing up, I loved, of course, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
And, you know, yourself, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and everybody. It was, I never really, it always didn't seem like, how should I say this? It always seemed to me that it was always Bret that had more of the issue with the Clique than Davey did. You know what I mean?
Oh, there was never any heat with Davey. At least that we ever.
Yeah. no, that was and you know, depending on what kind of relationship Davey was having with Bret at the time, if they were getting along or not getting along, but he wasn't really fence riding. But one day you talk to Davey and him and Bret were cool, and the next time he'd be like, you know, he'd be kind of taking Sean's side on things. It kind of like the weather. It was see, for me growing up, it was always interesting because it was always like intense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was like there's like, you always know that between Bret and Sean there was always real heat. And that's something that is kind of missing from nowadays because not too many people have real heat with each other like that. But they were always professional as far as I know when
that's
they got
right.
into the ring and wrestled
Absolutely.
with each other. But
absolutely.
yeah, which is really important. And sometimes those make like the best matches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
it was weird.
But yeah,
I was going to say it was weird for me because, like, Bret and I, we traveled before kind of the whole Clique thing actually came together. Like, I traveled with Bret too, and he was so good to me, and he taught me a ton. And so, like, and you know, then when like I'm traveling with, you know, Sean Scott and Kev, and then later Paul, you know, anytime there was something sad, negative, like say about Bret, like, it was so uncomfortable, you know. And I just hated it. And it was unrealistic of me because I'm this young, like, kid at the time thinking, why can't just everyone just get along?
Right.
You know? But, like, you know, there was a lot at stake and you know, everyone took it so serious that, you know, so, I mean, I look at it now and I understand, you know, but it just sucked because I'm that person that just wants to get along and love everybody, you know?
Yeah, you know, and the one thing that I do remember, like it was a big deal, was Davey was talking about when they did the curtain call at Madison Square Garden, and that was like a big deal. Like it was like nobody could believe it happened. Like and then he was saying like, oh, you know what? Mark my words, he'll never be back working for Vince again. And then he was kind of, so he said he would be buried, Hunter would be buried, but then it got forgotten about. And of course, look, they all came back.
Yeah. I wasn't there. I was in rehab when the curtain call happened.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah. Hey, so everything's cool with Jake now?
Yeah, no, that was we're all fine, and like that whole thing was just so stupid, and I got no problems with him. I called him, and I wanted to bury the heat anyway. Sure. But I got my more issue is with these jabroni wannabe bullshit websites that make a thunder out of a fart and
keep stirring it up,
tell lies and blow things out of proportion. But no, that was all fine. And when I left that place because Jake's daughter was killing my merchandise sales when all that happened. And I had an afternoon show to go to. Then when the police came, they talked to Tommy Dreamer, who was at my table, and he told him to come to his show later because I was on a House of Hardcore show. And then I went and wrestled, and nobody came, and they never talked to me. So I was traveling in and out of there, Canada. I flew to Japan. There was no it might have been a municipal thing, but nobody came, and then all of a sudden it blew up like it was this huge thing, like I pulled a knife or a gun out on him or something.
Right.
But it's all good now. But you know what? I don't feel bad about it because I was standing up for my family, and I told him a couple times through Twitter or through friends to please stop badmouthing Davey in these interviews, like talk about something else, or if you had a problem with him, why didn't you talk to him back in 96, 97?
That's the thing, man. Hey, here's the thing, Harry. We get in this mode where we feel like we have to perform when we're doing these interviews and tell these stories. And, like it's easy when we're doing good now and we're living a better life to look back and go, oh, this guy was this and he was like, I heard some of the things you said that that was said about your dad, like we got to look in the mirror too, like, and go, hey, if he was like that, let me just say this. Let me just say this. My experience with your dad and everyone I know, even when he was having rough times, Harry, he was a joy to be around. He lit up the room. He always made everyone laugh. And I can honestly say, or I can't say that about the other guy. I can't. So I'll just leave it at that. That's my memory of your dad. He was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He was fucking awesome, Harry.
Yeah. And I was watching some old stuff on YouTube with Davey, and then I was remembering, like, they did there was a match with him and Lex versus Men on a Mission, where Davey gave Mabel the electric chair drop out of the corner.
Yeah.
And like there was stuff like that. Like I remember Davey was telling Vince about it, and then Vince was going, "Oh, there's no way you can do that. You can't lift him up." And, and then he did it, and then he said that Vince's eyes when it came to the back were just like. But back in those days, Davey and Lex both, they were doing all kinds of appearances and stuff for kids and for sick kids with the Allied powers, and they'd have kids walk down to the ring with them and with the flag every single show. There's all kinds. He really did a lot of great stuff for WWE. Like I remember one time when he had 2 days off and he was back home, and they called him to do like an autograph session down in Tampa. I think because Shane Douglas had just quit. And they asked if he could do it on like 45 minutes notice. And he and we drove all the way down to Treasure Island, and he did the interview from just on the drop of a hat that. So he was a really great guy, and he was a great employee. I wish that he would have had one WWE title run, that would have been great. But,
absolutely.
He did a lot of great things for that company. And I think that, I wish that they could have done more for him, but who knows? You can't always go back but there was so many great memories of him and Owen too.
I'm going to share.
Really awesome.
I'm going to share one with you. It would be Owen and who the hell was Owen's partner? And they would work with your dad and Lex. And so Owen would get in there with your dad, and your dad would pick him up and just gorilla press him like 10 reps, and then just dump him, right? And then Lex would come in and try to go for the same thing, and Owen dead weighted him and wouldn't go up for him, and he just burbled over. Yeah, it was the funniest damn thing, man. Oh.
I think it was Owen.
Oh,
and
that's
Yoko.
hilarious. Yeah. I know that story because Davey told me. Then afterwards, Lex is going, "What the hell, Owen?" And Owen goes, "Oh, Lex, I'm sorry, man. I must have just slipped." He goes, "We'll do it tomorrow." And,
yes.
No worries. So then he went to do it again, and he hugged right on top.
Yeah.
Hugged onto his triceps.
Yeah.
And Lex almost fell over. Then he threw him down.
And so,
man, he was mad. And then he said Davey came in, pressed him about 10 times.
Yeah.
And then did a flex to Lex, and then they were all laughing.
And then Lex goes to lock up with Owen. And as soon as he touches him, Owen just flatbacks him and just laying on the ground, looking up at him. And he's like, "What in the F?"
Yeah.
And then Owen
funny,
gets Lex out on the floor and takes the microphone cord and just completely wraps him up like a cocoon in the microphone cord so he can't get out.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, and it's funny was back in those days. I don't know if you would have been maybe just coming around, but the Steiner brothers first just came to WWE, and Rick Steiner, he had never met Owen, but he had heard lots of great, seen him on New Japan. He heard a lot of great things, like he's a great worker, and they were in New Japan at different times. But so he's watching in the back from the curtain at a house show, and I guess Owen was doing the, like if the guy went to tackle him, he'd take like the absolute slowest possible bump. He could take it. Rick was looking around, and he was like, "What the who? I thought this guy was good." He's like, "This guy's the shit." And then he saw Owen come to the back, and he was laughing his ass off.
Yeah.
So funny, so, yeah.
Hey, we're pretty. I've had you on phone for a long time, Harry. I appreciate you coming on, man.
No problem. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here, but hey, real quick, guys.
I wanted to know what you want to see Natty do at this all-women's pay-per-view.
Oh, wow. When is the pay-per-view anyway?
October.
Oh, it's in October. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was. I knew it wasn't this month because it was SummerSlam. Yeah, you know what? That's great. They did. Have they announced matches for it?
They haven't. So I'm curious to see who you want to see her face, or what you want to see her do.
No, it's an all-women's pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's an all-women's pay-per-view.
Yeah, her and Ronda Rousey doing something would be good. Shayna Baszler, she's really awesome. I went and trained with her, and we wrestled together. We used to do train wrestling and stuff at Josh Barnett's gym after workouts were done.
Shayna's one of my favorites, Harry. Yeah. Shayna's one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's awesome. She's a really, I think that she became kind of a natural pro at it because of her MMA background, but also the thing that is good about her too is that she likes pro wrestling. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like some of these people, like ex-football players and stuff, they don't have any clue, and some of them pick up on it and they do all right, and some because they don't understand it because they don't really fully understand it, So
and they don't have that love instilled. Like when it's instilled in you, like it's just different.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they say skills are cheap, but passion is priceless.
Yep.
And I kind of agree with that because there's a lot of guys that even, say for instance, Mick Foley, he may not have been the greatest athlete. He'll probably admit to that, but look at the passion and the way how he understood the business and how he understood how he could make money.
Yeah.
And, get to the top as a performer and be entertaining, and have an awesome promo and make money for the company, So that's great that Shane is doing well there. So.
Well, my last question to you is your stablemate, Zack Sabre Jr., as we know, is incredible at submissions. Yeah. I want to know, have you had a chance to grapple with him?
No, I haven't. I would like to. I'm sure he's really good. I have not had a chance to yet. But I like his wrestling style. He's unique and he's different. I think that he understands that for him, he's got to work a different style than everybody else to be different. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's helped get him over. And wish him all the best. He's a really, really good athlete. And but I have not grappled with him yet, but I'm sure that he's got some good skills.
And for me, not a question, just a comment. I think I speak for a lot of people in my generation when I say my favorite tag team as a kid with the British Bulldogs, and then subsequently your dad became my favorite singles wrestler. So talking to you on the show has been fantastic. He's provided a lot of memories for so many people of our generation. And to this day, I'm still never going to forgive the Islanders for stealing Matilda. So I'm still mad about that.
Hey, man, we're in the same boat with that. I'm never going to forgive them either.
That's right.
Oh, man, you know what?
Yeah.
I wanted to bring this up earlier. But I'm going to shoehorn it in right now.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think about somebody starting up UWF again in the submission style like that? That's been talked about a little bit lately.
I think it's a great idea. You know, Josh Barnett's been talking about trying to get something set up. I think it would be great because it's different and it hasn't been, it's be kind of fresh because nobody's seen it in years. And I think that over the years, there's been so many different new submissions that have came out and new style of grapplers. And I think with catch wrestling sort of coming back and starting to dominate again, it'd be great. And myself, Josh Barnett, there's a lot of guys, what the heck, why can't I think of his name off the top of my head? The big kid from Guam, the amateur wrestler.
Jeff Cobb, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Jeff Cobb, yes. Yeah, he would be really awesome in it. Zach Sabre Jr., there's a lot of good guys. MVP, he's doing jiu-jitsu too now, too. So I think it would be awesome. And, having different rule sets where it's you could even do shoots where there's rope escapes, though, where you have to, because that was originally what it was supposed to be. And, doing that tournament that I was just doing, it was real pinfalls for a 3 count, not just for a 1. So that kind of, I think it keeps
Did anyone get pinned?
Interesting. Yeah, my final match that I had, I pinned the guy for.
Oh, damn.
I caught him with the. Yeah, but
wow.
Man, that's hard to hold a guy down for 3 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Oh, shit.
But it would be great, man, and it would be like a hybrid style of wrestling again that would come out. So I hope that they do it, and if Josh is going to help start something up, I'll be with him all the way.
Cool. Hey, Dave. Hey, Harry. Man, it's so good, to have you on the phone and actually have a conversation, for a while with you, man. Because we've never actually sat and had this long a conversation, you and I. So.
Yeah, I know. I was going to ask you because we were talking about Keith and all of them earlier.
Yeah.
Do you remember your match you had with Keith at the corral for Stu's 83rd birthday?
I'll never forget it. We Scott and I flew in for that. It was we flew coast to coast for that, and it was cold as shit. Yeah, and I remember because I was pretty relieved that I got there and I got to work with your Uncle Keith. We had a good match.
It was really good. You know what I liked about it too was that because Keith was really used to working, he could work a long 15 or 20 minute match, but it was a fast pace. I think it was only 6 or 7 minutes, but it was like a raw match, like a TV style match, which I had never seen Keith really work before. And he was, it was a good, you guys matched up well together,
Yeah, well, there was a lot
awesome.
There was a lot of matches on the show, and to go out there and sunk up all the time because you had the Funks versus your Uncle Bruce and Brian Pillman.
And they went 30 minutes, fought through the crowd and all that.
Blood everywhere. Remember that?
Yeah.
And Scott worked with Owen, and I love that. And I have the jacket. That's when somebody asks me if they ask me what my most prized possession that I own is, it's the Harley jacket from BJ's Harley shop, and it says on the chest it says Stu Hart's 80th birthday.
Wow.
And Scott and I have one.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know, I actually have one myself. It was Stu's, I think, or Davey's, but I kept it. It basically fits me, so I wear it from time to time. But man, what an awesome jacket, because the quality of it's really, really nice. Like,
Yeah.
It's good, thick, strong leather.
Yeah.
And you know, when Brian Pillman had that unfortunate, nasty car accident where he actually tipped his Hummer, they said that one of the reasons why he survived, or what didn't kill him, was he was wearing that Harley jacket, because he skidded off his back like 35 yards or something like that when he or something ridiculous when he came out of the car. So but I mean, the jacket was, I think, toast after, but that saved his life, he said.
Damn.
There you go.
Man, I could just keep talking to you, Harry. It's so good talking to you on the phone, man.
I mean, we'll have to have him back on.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So
absolutely. And you know, another match we'll like maybe for next time was you and Brett, actually. Do you remember that? The singles you guys had in like '94?
Yeah, never
That was
forget
awesome,
it.
man.
July. Let me think if I can remember. July 10th, 1994.
Wow. Jesus.
Man,
Monday
that was
Night Raw.
awesome.
Yeah. And then while we're at it, you sent me a YouTube clip of your dad and I working with just an enhancement TV match. We were tag team. Yeah, it was great. So yeah.
I like that. I remember when you guys did that at the time. Davey was talking about it, and then he was saying he was going to try to do more stuff with you, like the old stuff he used to do with Dynamite, where he'd get the guy in a fireman's carry and he'd jump off his back. But I think you guys just did that one TV match. So
That's
it was
it.
just a one-time deal. But,
And I was honored.
and he pressed you onto the guys.
Yep, I was honored to be able to work with your dad in Wembley Arena, though. That was great. Your dad's back was hurt pretty bad, but you never would have known it. You never would have known it.
Yeah.
So
Was that in like '99 or 2000?
Yeah.
Was that the time?
yeah,
You know what? I don't think I ever saw it, because we didn't get those pay-per-views in Canada. I think because it was a pay-per-view there, right? Rebellion or something, or
yep.
one of those pay-per-views they had. But I don't think I ever saw that one. Yeah, that's good. That's great, though.
So, anyways, all right, Harry, I'm gonna let you go, man. It's so good talking to you, and my best to your sister and your mom and everyone. And thank you so much. Hey, real quick, social media stuff you want to plug?
Oh, yes. If you want to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, both, it's at DB Smith Jr. DB Smith Jr., both the same for those. I have a Facebook, but that's more for friends and family. But, please follow me. You can keep up on all the updates and latest, greatest workout clips. I just posted something today. I was helping plug TJ Wilson's new workhorse.
Right. Yeah.
Supplement. Yeah, it's a pre-workout drink. It's really awesome. You like pre-workout stuff, right?
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, you were always they had the green ones. What were they called? Like Bang or
Hanson's energy drink.
yeah, that's what it was, Hanson.
Yeah.
I remember you drinking those backstage.
They paid me.
And
to do
my
that.
mom says to hi. Oh, my mom said to say hi. She was asking how Lula was doing too.
She's great. Yeah. I saw your mom at Cauliflower Alley.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
So, hey, is there something else? No, I
Pretty
think
much
that's
covers
pretty
it, I
much
think,
it.
yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, he has a seminar coming up
Oh,
this
yeah.
weekend.
I knew there was something.
August 12th. For
Yes, August 12th at the Ring of Honor School, 1 to 4 p.m. There's all kinds of information on my Twitter and Instagram about that. I'm going to be teaching a lot of basics, a lot of submission stuff, and some pro wrestling stuff that I learned from the Dungeon and from the Snake Pit and from Billy Robinson too. So if you're a pro wrestler or into submission grappling, or you're in the area, it's in Bristol, Pennsylvania. So come on down for that.
Excellent.
on Twitter at Worldwide Dojo.
So,
For more info about that.
That was good. For more information, yes.
Harry, finally, okay, I swear to God, this time I'm going to let you go, man. Thank you so much. Davey Boy Smith Jr.
Hey,
everyone.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys. Thanks for having me. It was really
Have an
fun.
awesome
Thank
day.
you.
Take care.
Great stuff.
All right.
Yeah, so follow Sean on Twitter at @TheRealXpac. Use the hashtag for the show, XPac12360. Buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com/Sean Waltman. Also at Pro Wrestling Tees on August 25th, Saturday. Sean will be there for Customer Appreciation Day, meet and greet from 12 to 3. And then we have XPac12360 live in downtown LA at the Bootleg Theater, August 29th, Wednesday. Tickets at Ticketfly, Bootleg Theater on Facebook. Just type in X-Pac on Facebook and all the info will pop up. And then you're headed to Japan in September on September 26th.
Yep.
There we go.
Follow me on Twitter at Jimbo in the Booth.
Awesome. And you guys can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at _Denise Salcedo. Make sure to go to youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. I have a new show coming up, and I know you guys are going to love it.
All right. At Jay Quasto, Blackcraft Wrestling, iPay-per-view, August 24th. Champion Wrestling from Hollywood. Watch us every single week on Fight TV worldwide. And then I go to Pakistan for Ring of Pakistan in late August.
You going to be telling jokes in Philly coming up?
Oh, yeah. August 16th as well. Come see me in Philly.
All right.
I forgot.
Okay, everyone. Hey, I'm pretty sure that our guest next week, is next week our 100th episode?
It is.
Ooh. All right. And on our 100th episode, I'm almost positive, we're going to reconfirm again, but Will Ospreay.
Nice.
Nice.
So, yeah. Looking forward to talking to Will.
Aerial assassin.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, everyone. See you here. See you here. I always screw this part up. See you right here next week on X-Pac 12360, AfterBuzz TV, Westwood One, and that Jericho Network.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Mark B. Donica, Jimbo Frank, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow X-Pac on Twitter at TheRealXpac and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com.